This is a meeting of Town Budget Committee called to order at 4:36. I am Becky Taylor Chase, Town Clerk. And I didn't turn my microphone on. This is the Budget Committee meeting called to order at 4:36. I'm Becky Taylor Chase, the Town Clerk. I'll be clerking the meeting until we get to the agenda item of election of chair. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the March 17th, 2025 regular meeting. Those were circulated out a week or two ago, and there are printed copies in front of you. I will entertain a motion.
My name is Jennifer Giuliano, and I'm a member of the Budget Committee, and I'd like to suggest a grammar edit to the minutes just on number 3, to change it to say, for example, is there a year-over-year budget goal?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Andy O'Brien. Is there any further discussion on the minutes, grammar clarifications, questions? Hearing none, I will take a vote. All in favor, you can raise your hand or say yes. Yes. Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, the minutes are approved with the amendment to that paragraph. I'll make that adjustment. We are now at public comment for non-agenda items. This is a moment for any panel resident to speak on anything that's not on the agenda. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Thank you for being here.
Turn on? Hello.
Yeah, that's-
Yes. How does the Budget Committee, or is it the Select Board, initiate a recommendation for a 10% budget cut for all departments? How does that work? I know we've tried it in the past. Of course, it scares everybody when we say, oh, gee, how are we going to do that? But we also can't continue with 5 to 10% tax increases every year. Yes, a lot of that is the school board, but a lot of it is us. So how do we go about initiating a request? Does that come from the Budget Committee to the Select Board, or is it from the Select Board to the Budget Committee? That's all.
Typically, the select board would be the ones to make that request of the budget committee. We listen to the individual department heads who present their budget to us, and we vet it for validity, basically. Is this a valid request or not? And then it goes to the select board.
And the Budget
We
Committee,
make a recommendation to
Yeah.
the select board whether to approve it or not.
yeah, so we really just are making recommendations, but ultimately the board is also making a recommendation.
Right.
And so there can be 2 different recommendations that wind up on the town, what do you call,
The town warrant.
the town warrant.
I was wondering, how does the Budget Committee, I've gone to the budget meetings, and when I see the budgets, they all look accurate and they look good, but that doesn't mean they're affordable. Just like, I'm still driving a 2008 Honda CR-V because it makes sense. Like, oh, I'd love a new car. Maybe I can't afford it. And I think with federal funding probably gone, state funding gone, Powell's budget is also limited. At some point, we do have to say that we're going to have to cut somewhere.
Well, we don't get federal funding other than like the ARPA funds.
Well, of course, the federal government gives it to the state. State might give it to
The
the,
state does
give
do
it to us.
state revenue sharing,
Yeah.
so we do.
Yep. Yes, I think many people would think that we really do have to cut, as painful as it might be. Someone.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, I will move on to new business, election of chair and scriber. So at this point, we are going to open the floor up for nominations. I'm going to take a moment, though, for each budget committee member to just go around for the recording and introduce yourself so that we have the name on the record. Let's start with Jen.
My name is Jennifer Giuliano.
My name's Jenna Shu.
Andy O'Brien.
Deborah Delp.
Great, thank you. Welcome. I will now open the floor for nominations for a chair.
I nominate Andy O'Brien as the chair for the Budget Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Deborah that seconded. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I will close the floor to nominations. All in favor of Andy O'Brien as Chair of the Budget Committee, please raise your hand. All opposed? No abstain. Okay, Andy O'Brien has been elected the Chair of the Budget Committee. I can turn the meeting over to you for election inscriber.
Okay, so now we need a scribe, secretary, clerk, whatever they choose to be called for the business. There won't be probably a lot of minutes to be taken. Most of our minutes will be in the select board meeting and then a short meeting afterwards.
So what we did in the past, because it was a joint meeting during the presentation part, a budget committee member, which was Donna Watson in the past, took the minutes for that portion of the select board and sent them to me because I present on every night. So it's hard for me to present and capture the minutes at the same time. And it seemed to work good. And she would transcribe the presentation, send them to me, and then I would put them into the full minutes. And then the scribe would, or clerk or whoever, what title you want to use, typically would just take minutes for your standalone meetings that you often, if you're going to do that this year, have right after the joint meetings, and then for your standalone when you're working on your recommendations. So it is a minimal amount. The biggest part is just during those we're doing 4 joint meetings this year with the select board, and it just helps me.
Okay, so I will open up the floor for nominations for scribe.
I'm willing to, I can do it.
So then I will nominate Jenna Shu to be the scribe or minute taker for the budget committee.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any more nominations from the floor? None? Seeing none, I will call for a vote for Jenna Shu for the, what would you choose to be called?
Scribe.
For the scribe position.
All
All
those,
those in favor, please raise your hand. And any opposed? The vote carries.
1 abstain.
Yep.
so it says procedural discussion. Is that what you just,
I think that's coming, Becky.
I
okay.
think procedural discussion is a lot more than just that. So there are several things. So first, there's the email, which Jenna has been monitoring. So last year, Matt Roy was the chair, and what he was doing is keeping that big spreadsheet, the year-over-year spreadsheet that compares what was used in unassigned fund and what the budgets have been year over year. He was keeping that up to date. So we're probably going to want to reach out to him and see if we can get last year's copy. And so the chair, so I don't know if that's something, Andy wants to take on. And typically the chair monitors the email, but Jenna took that role on. So when emails were coming, she was forwarding them out. So that's a discussion you're going to want to talk about, if you want to continue with that, being the clerk of the minutes now. Maybe it does make sense. Maybe it makes sense to change that over to Andy. That's your call on how you want to do that. And then from there, we'll just talk about the meetings themselves and the timeline. So.
Cool. I'm fine forwarding. I get the alert from my phone when it comes in, usually. Now that I'm logged in again, and I just forward it off to you all.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we're supposed to just reply all to that to keep it in the thread.
Right.
Okay, after. I think
Yeah.
that works. The spreadsheet, I don't know if you want to keep it. I could keep it too. I don't know if it had this last year, but there's formulas we can create that automatically calculates the total and the percent increase or decrease that I can help add to it. I don't necessarily need to keep it, but I would like to add some formulas for easier
I'm not sure if there were.
calculations.
If you're better with spreadsheets than I am, then you are more than welcome to do it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't mind doing. So, or we can put our heads together too.
Okay, I'll reach out to Matt
Okay.
and ask him for what he has.
Okay.
So let me make a note.
Sounds good.
Email Matt. And then in regard to the email, so we had a FOA training back at the beginning of December, and that was recorded. Yes, Andy?
While we're on that spreadsheet thing,
Yes.
share it with the whole group.
Yep.
'Cause I think everybody should get their eyes on it. I
Yes,
don't
what-
think anybody but Matt saw it last year.
Right, but in years previous to that, like when Brian was taking care of it, it was something that we did, I think we did have shared with us, and it was a very useful tool to be able, especially before a meeting, to be able to see that spreadsheet and really go through the numbers and make sense of them, and be able to process what was, what that department was proposing, and like what the trend had been the 3 years previous, and where those costs maybe were coming from, like, is it a new plow or whatever? So yeah, I do think that is really useful to see prior to the meeting, each time with each department.
So when I reach out to him, I will forward that to the budget committee email, so you all will get a copy as soon as I get it from him. So I'll email him tomorrow to see if we can get that ahead of time. So, yep, absolutely. It's the year-over-year comparison is, as we do, and you'll see, Deborah, in the spreadsheets that are going to start coming for the presentation, is I have 3 years of data, past actuals and budget, so you can see the trend, of what's been happening. And it's the only way I can look at the numbers and make sense of them too. So that's what I set up, and everybody uses that same format. So we're 3 weeks out, just about, from our first presentation. First night is general government, Panel Center Water Association, Human Services, Planning Board, and Debt Service. It sounds like a lot, but some of those budgets are only a couple of lines, so
I can assure you the Pownell Center Water Association will be quick.
we got that one done. Yeah, we got that one done. So what typically department heads do is they send me their budget sheet, and then I email it out to the budget committee and the select board about a week ahead of time. So you have time to review it prior to the meeting and formulate some questions and just really come prepared. We found that to be pretty useful the last couple of years. I will tell you, planning board isn't making their decision on their numbers until Wednesday night. And I'm supposed to send, Monday's a holiday, so I'd be sending you my budget sheet on Tuesday, but I'm not going to have planning board numbers till Wednesday. So if you want me to wait till Thursday morning and send it all together, that still gives you the whole weekend to look at. Is
Yeah.
that way I don't have to send you two and it gets confusing? Because
That's fine.
okay. We've talked a little bit, but there was some directions we weren't sure we were going in yet, and then they haven't had their full discussion about what they think they're going to need until that night. So thank you. That makes it helpful. The night of the meetings, I will print out for everybody, budget committee included, copies of what is going to be projected, and we'll hopefully have the second screen for the audience by then. I've ordered the mount, and then we just got to coordinate getting that TV that's over in the corner up, to make it easier for the audience. And so I'll project it up there, and committee members go presenters go line by line and explain what each line is. There's an increase, why there's an increase. There's a decrease, why there's a decrease, what's in this line. We open it up to questions at that point.
We are able to ask the.
Yep. Audience too. Yep.
I was going to say, like, it is really nice to have an audience and people, just town folk here, to also ask questions and learn more about what the different line item proposals are. Yeah.
Then after, typically the budget committee, after that agenda item meets, they down in the lobby or the voting room, which is a public meeting, and any of the members of the audience can go down to that meeting as well. And while it's fresh in everybody's mind, just have a discussion. And that's what we do for 4 meetings. So we start on the 26th of January. We've added a 4th. We used to do it in 3, but the last one was about a 3-hour presentation, and then we still had select board business. So we thought, let's break it into 4 as they get bigger. So I have sent out the schedule. Okay. I can take over for his chair. Andy knows the process at this point. So did you have any other questions or comments that you wanted to make or topics to talk about, Andy, before you leave?
Let me just Okay. No, not really. There isn't a whole lot, at the end of all the presentations, we'll have to sit down and do a vote.
Yeah. That is a
However-
date to be determined as well. I don't know if I put a tentative date in March for your final meeting yet or not. I don't remember if I put that out in the timeline that I sent out in an email.
I don't remember the timeline, but I remember the meeting that we had with like the FOA training and the planning
Mhm.
board, or the town board.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we went through all of them, like we went through January, February, March,
Right.
April, May.
But I'm not sure if I set your standalone meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I didn't know what night you wanted to meet. So typically, the presentations get done, the first select board meeting in March should be the last presentation night. And then the budget committee typically meets the following week for their recommendations. And then the select board vote on theirs that following week. In April, we head into public hearing.
If we have further questions, do we have time
Yeah,
to ask individual department
Yep.
heads back?
so then you would have a
If we
second.
have.
Yep, you would have a second standalone meeting. So the first meeting, you could call back department heads, and then you would have another, unless you think you could make your decision that night, you could. And if we needed to set a secondary potential standalone meeting in March, we could. It just means
This
that
is just in theory.
it's just in theory. Yeah, it might mean we have to shift the public hearing slightly, but that's why I build time in between all this in case we need some extra time. So, because we have state statute to meet for the annual town report and all of this factors into these dates that we worked on. So, I did circulate, I think, the timeline out. I think I did send that. So, you should have gotten a forwarded email from the budget committee email with all the dates, the attached dates. And to circle back a little bit on the email too, the FOA training that we had, if you weren't able to attend, is recorded and up on the town's YouTube page. My apologies, I shared the wrong document, and so the PowerPoint doesn't move through. But I have printed PowerPoints downstairs, and I need to forward the PowerPoint off to everybody. The important thing to know about the email is I am only going to communicate directly to the budget committee email. I'm not going to copy any of your private emails on that. Jenna's going to forward to you all any information that comes from that. Any responses should be responded directly back to that budget committee email. Anytime 3 or more of you are in an email conversation, it becomes a meeting. And it's subject to public notification and public participation. So to make sure we're not doing that, as long as we're corresponding back through that budget committee or copying that budget committee email when you might respond to a question Andy had, like what date is good for a meeting, it covers me on FOA too for any records requests. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Jenna, you look like you might have a
We-
question.
We can still reply all again and again. That's
Yeah,
a,
Well, as long as,
Into the,
yes, and as
Okay.
long as it's something simple as what date is good for you to meet. But if you start to get into a discussion about a budget, you can't do that in an email.
that
Yeah,
has to be done.
that has to be done in a meeting because a quorum is established when 3 or more of you are communicating. So, but as the town attorney said, simple things like, hey, is this date good for a meeting? And you all respond, that's fine. But any further discussions about town business shouldn't be happening via email. So that's the biggest thing to know about the email. And we all do our best, and sometimes we make a mistake, but for the most part, everyone does really well with making sure communications are done appropriately. So questions, I know it's a lot of information, again, kind of coming at everybody. For some, it's new, and for some, it's a change, and for some, they've been here for a few years doing this.
I was thinking like it has changed a lot,
Yeah.
even, just tightening up our systems.
You were here when Andy Wyatt.
Yes.
Yeah.
And John Green,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
first year, just to give context to how it's evolved, my first year, I presented to the select board on a Monday night. The following Monday night, I presented to the budget committee, and then 2 weeks later, I came back to the budget committee for follow-up questions. That was to get through one budget presentation. Every department head had to do that. And it went on for 3 months to get through, and it just, the problem is some of the same similar questions were being asked, but, and we were answering the same questions, and that's when the next year I suggested having combination meeting, so everybody's at the table for the original presentation, and everybody's hearing the question, everybody's hearing the answer, and
I think it
it's,
works a lot better.
and it seemed to, and the department heads really liked it because they've mostly come once, and then, except for me. And they're basically done unless you have follow-up questions, and it allowed a lot less time for them that they could focus on their departments and the work that they're doing, so. It seemed to work pretty good. And then each year we talk about it and figure out ways that, we can still improve upon the process and make sure that getting the information out there and trying to get participation and people involved so they understand what goes into the budget. And then now with the recording, that was another option now. It's all recorded and available if people can't attend. And so each year we just evolve. So.
Question on the recording and the scribe, are the meeting notes being summarized still by AI?
So Zoom gives me a quick summary, AI, but I would use that. But you can go onto YouTube and get the transcript.
Okay.
And I use it. I still have to type from the transcript, but it is much better. We have adopted an AI policy now, which I'm going to be doing some staff training on. As a committee appointed by the board, you are sort of under that AI policy, and I'll get that circulated. And it's really, the biggest thing to know about the AI policy is it really focuses more on generative AI. And it really talks about the human still has to be a part of that equation. Generative AI isn't going to do our work for us, but it can be a tool to assist doing our work. And part of the policy includes using Grammarly, Otter, and YouTube to help with minute transcription that is built into the policy. Because Grammarly is a good tool for editing grammar and spelling. Otter is a good transcription software that Jenna has been testing for us. YouTube transcribes this meeting from the closed captioning, and that has saved me considerable time with select board minutes. So it does help with that. And I'll circulate that.
Good.
I'll circulate that policy out. And then the other thing to know is if you do use AI in any of your communication, like you want to send a flyer out in a quarterly mailer and you have generative AI assist you, you just have to cite that you had generative AI assist. And then the preferred version of AI for the town is Microsoft Copilot. And there's a free version that boards and committees can use, and the town's getting a paid version for the town employees. So that is a quick summary in a nutshell of the policy, and I will make sure you get a copy of that in an email.
Great. Thank you.
It's a good question.
So, procedural discussion closed. Is there any old business that needs to come before the meeting? I don't believe there is. The new year, all we have is new business. Is there any other business? Yes, there is. I want to welcome Deb Delp aboard and thank her for volunteering for the committee.
Sure, thank you.
And welcome everyone back. And at this point, I will entertain a motion for an adjournment.
I would make a motion to adjourn at, what time is it?
Well,
5 o'clock. Second it.
All those in favor of adjourning? Unanimous.